This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
The plus would be that the violence will, slow down a little bit.
The White House's message to our small business owners across the country is you have never had a better ally or friend or supporter in this White House than President Donald Trump, who is a businessman himself.
They'll be used to making eye contact. They'll be used to conversations again.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Gotham City, there is rioting on the streets of Washington, D.C. today. This after the National Guard showed up on the scene in D.C. was placed under federal authority. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says crime cleanup is coming.
This administration is focused on making D.C. safe and beautiful again. The president wants to see all of our nation's cities be safe. Starting with our nation's capital is a great place to begin, and it should serve as a model for the rest of the country.
Some of those living there say they're glad the homelessness and slums are finally being dealt with.
I think it could be a good thing and a bad thing. The plus would be that the violence will, slow down a little bit. The kids will feel more safe.
24 arrests were made in D.C. last night alone. In the same wide-ranging press conference, Leavitt was asked about tariffs as small businesses struggle to hold down the fort with Christmas shopping 8 weeks away.
We've had small businesses tell us that they've held off on raising prices, but soon they're going to have to raise prices. What is the White House's message to them?
The White House's message to our small business owners across the country is you have never had a better ally or friend or supporter in this White House than President Donald Trump, who is a businessman himself, who understands your concerns and who wants to restore wealth back to our country through the powerful use of tariffs.
Trump did extend a trade truce with China for another 90 days. Fox Business reporter Cheryl Casoni.
It would have gone back up to 145% today. Today was the deadline, but that has now been extended. So now it's going to be 30%. Chinese tariffs on U.S. goods is at 10%, but that would have gone to 125%. That was China's threat.
Friday's summit between President Trump and Russian leader Vladimir Putin will take place in Anchorage, Alaska. The two leaders set to discuss an end to the war in Ukraine. The president had a few words to say on that today.
I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that could be made for both parties.
Trump says he's not entirely sure what Russian President Vladimir Putin's intentions are.
I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will not be in the room yet. We're learning more about the suspect in a shooting that took place at the CDC headquarters. CBS reporter Stacey Lynn.
The accused shooter, 30-year-old Patrick Joseph White, fired nearly 500 rounds. 200 of them hit 6 CDC buildings.
The shooter had no known criminal history.
GBI Director Chris Hosey says after searching his residence, they did find
written documentation that expressed the shooter's discontent with the COVID-19 vaccinations.
The gunman took one life before taking his own. It's still a no-go in Texas. Democrats continue to hide out in other states to avoid a redistricting vote that will hand several seats to Republicans. Texas Democrat Josie Garcia says she's not coming back anytime soon.
Any consequences that comes to us being here, we will gladly take. Because to defend and protect the Constitution, but most importantly, to defend and protect this nation.
Governor Greg Abbott says the maps need to reflect the political views of the actual people living in Texas, and the Republican majority has grown as people fled other states post-pandemic. Inflation held steady in July. It means the Fed likely won't drop interest rates next month. Stephen Myron chairs the White House Council on Economic Advisors and tells Fox News tariffs aren't hurting the U.S. economy.
Doom and gloom, there's going to be inflation, a recession, the world's going to end. All that stuff was said in 2018, 2019. There was no evidence of it then. There's no evidence thus far now.
He says the cornerstones of Trump's economic policies are paying off.
Deregulation, border control, energy abundance, and tax incentives to boost capital stock. That's all very powerful in bringing down inflation, and you're seeing it start to work.
And the Perseid meteor shower will be visible in the night sky tonight and tomorrow. After 11 p.m. is the best chance to see it if you can stay up that late. Astronomer Derek Pitts.
It
can show us as many as 100 meteors per hour if we go outside and take a look at the night sky under clear, dark skies.
This morning, the planets Venus and Jupiter were visible close together in the pre-dawn sky. The conjunction, as it's known, means those two planets were just 1 degree apart. In terms of separation, that's about the width of 2 moons. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, steel plant explosion update. The bell-to-bell cell phone ban nearly here, and an iconic Western New York business may be coming to an end. Those stories after weather with Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Partly cloudy and muggy. A late night shower possible near Lake Erie. Low temperatures 60s and low 70s. Tomorrow, variable clouds, muggy, couple of showers and thunderstorms around, high temps in the 80s. Thursday, there could still be a shower or thunder shower in parts of central and eastern Pennsylvania. Otherwise, on Thursday, developing sunshine with lowering humidity, high temperatures mid-70s to the middle 80s.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories, making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. It is 90 degrees outside right now. WBEN anchor Tim Wenger asked the question we've all been wondering.
I feel like we've had this every, 10 days or something. Is this going to be one of the hottest summers on record?
Well, right now we've had actually 6 official 90-degree days here. We usually have 3 for an average summer, and it looks like we're going to stay in this general pattern at least for the next several weeks.
That's the National Weather Service. It's going to be 84 tomorrow and back to 90 by Sunday. Details on the U.S. steel plant explosion outside Pittsburgh are still pouring in.
It did shake my house. Our door blew open.
It was a chaotic scene as a series of explosions kicked off after a fire at the plant in Clairton.
There's possible entrapment under the rubble.
2 people were killed, including 39-year-old Timothy Quinn. This is his best friend.
He was just probably one of the best co-workers I ever had.
10 were injured and 5 are in critical condition this evening. New York State is still waiting to hear from 10% of school districts that have yet to submit their smartphone ban for the upcoming academic year. Governor Hochul admits this bell-to-bell ban won't be easy, but it is necessary.
Change is hard. It is hard. But as I did my research and studied these trends and talked to countless parents and students about what's happening in their lives, I know we're on the right path.
Hochul says once the untethering from electronic devices becomes commonplace, things will look and sound much different at school, and students will be the better for it.
They'll be used to making eye contact. They'll be used to conversations again. Your halls are going to have noises you have not heard in years.
New York is making $13.5 million available for local school districts to implement the bell-to-bell smartphone ban. And an iconic Western New York business may be nearing the end. Here's Family Life's Mark Webster.
Yeah, the future's looking a little fuzzy for Rochester-based Kodak. A name once known the world over, the giant of the photo film world raised eyebrows with its second quarter financial report, which says it has debt coming due in 12 months that it currently doesn't have the ability to pay, raising, quote, substantial doubt about Kodak's ability to continue as a going concern. However, a company spokesman says management remains confident they'll be able to work out those upcoming debt obligations. The 130-year-old company has struggled to thrive since digital imaging overtook film. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Next at 5, the faith behind the newfound fame. Highlights from today's edition of Hometown Heroes as our own Mark Webster speaks with Chris Lomax, a Hornell, New York man who's grabbed national attention as a legally blind baker. Let's listen in.
One thing about the blind community is that we often get looked at as just a blind person. And that's one thing I was having issues with. The church was one place I knew I could go where people would see me as a human and not just a blind person. End of last year, I had some issues with finding work and finding what's the next step for me. I work at Lowe's, and I felt like being a greeter at Lowe's, that was great, but there was more for me to do. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where I was depressed because I knew there was nothing else for me in Hornell. I've applied everywhere, and it gets to a point where you can apply 7,000 times, but you just know, well, I'm not going to keep applying because there's no reason. And so I was depressed, and I didn't know what to do. I always pray before I go to bed, when I wake up. But one thing I struggled with for a while there, and I'm trying to get away from it, is I try not to pray for myself. I felt like that was selfish. I asked for prayers, but I felt like I wanted to pray for my family because I love my family the most. Like, they're my biggest blessing, and so I pray for them, but I never prayed for myself. And so during this depression time, I was trying to pray for myself more. And then the one day at church, we have a time where people ask for prayers and we pray for them in that moment. They had this time and I was sitting there and I was like thinking, and I'm like, I need to pray. And I asked for prayers saying how I'm depressed, and I let people know that I'm struggling. I don't know what God has for me and where I'm supposed to go next, but I just pray that there's an answer might come. And then after that, I continued to pray for myself and ask for my friends and family to pray for me. And at first, nothing happened. And I always say this, you can pray to God, ask for something. It's not going to come right away because it all comes within the time that it needs to be coming. And so a month and a half later, a lady came up to me and asked me if I would be interested in doing a news story for the Hornell Sun. And I'm like, you know what? Sure. At the time, I was baking from home, selling my baked goods to my friends and family. And I'm like, well, this will help me get my business going. And at the end of the news story, I told her about my baking, and she put that in the story. And I was like, this will be great. And then I didn't get much more business. And I was sad. And I asked God, I'm like, there has to be something. And then I started making plans to get out of Hornell, go somewhere that would have better opportunities for the blind. Less than a month after that newspaper came out, I got a call from Joe Ricolto, and he asked me if I'd be interested in being their baker. And that right there was, I'm just like, yeah. And I was like excited. And then I was like, wait a second. And then I was like, God, is this it? And then I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's run with it. And so I gave them little sampler dishes of like different things I can bake. And then I've been baking here since the end of January, beginning of February. And it's been a blessing ever since, having interviews with CBS News, Spectrum News, and that was just a blessing. And the thing is that for Spectrum and CBS, I wanted to tell them that, you know, this is a blessing. If it wasn't for the prayers and the thoughts from my church family and my friends and family, I wouldn't be standing here. I wouldn't be baking. I'd probably be in North Carolina doing something. And I had to express that. And I know how TV goes. You can't fit everything in. And I always say that I can't thank God enough. If I were to say thank you until the day I die, it still wouldn't be enough because I'm so thankful.
You can catch Hometown Heroes and all of Family Life's news features in podcast at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and at familylife.org.
Looking for practical ways to grow in stewardship? Hi, I'm Rob West with your Faith and Finance Minute. Here are 3 simple challenges that can strengthen your finances and your faith along the way. First, try a 2-week essentials-only spending fast. Skip the extras and spend only on things like food and gas. It may reveal habits you didn't realize were draining your budget. Next, sell unused items around the house. Set a goal, maybe $200 or $300, and use platforms like Facebook Marketplace or eBay. You'll clear clutter and create margin in the process. And if you're a 2-income household, work toward living on one salary and saving the other. It takes time and teamwork, but it can bring incredible peace and preparation for the future. Discover the best Christian financial articles, podcasts, and videos by visiting our website, faithfi.com, or by downloading FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, a huge anniversary in the Southern Tier and a sound you might remember. Those stories after weather next.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. A muggier night is coming up tonight than recent nights. The increasing humidity will brew a few showers and storms. The focus will be tomorrow evening, rainfall that our region surely needs. It'll then dry out and clear out again later in the week. The call for tonight, an isolated evening shower, thundershower, mainly parts of central New York. Otherwise, just partly cloudy and muggy. A late night shower possible near Lake Erie. Low temperatures 60s and low 70s. Tomorrow, variable clouds, muggy, a couple of showers and thunderstorms around, high temps in the 80s. Thursday, there could still be a shower or thundershower in parts of central and eastern Pennsylvania. Otherwise, on Thursday, developing sunshine with lowering humidity, high temperatures mid-70s to the middle 80s.
All right, Kevin, we will take it finally at 5. That might sound like a jet engine starting up, but it's really the sound of an era beginning. It is the sound of an IBM 5150 PC booting up. It was August 12th, 1981, when IBM released its first personal computer. For about $1,500, you got 16 kilobytes of RAM, no disk drives, and a color graphics adapter. Their big rivals at the time were Apple, Tandy, and Commodore. IBM's roots are in New York's southern tier. And that's the world that we live in for Tuesday, the 12th of August. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.